YouTube! Boon Headshot here. Welcome back. Today, we're gonna talk about another Mythic Plus build. This is for the Assassination Rogue. The first video I put out about how to take on keys was all about the bleeds and how good the bleed build is, and it is still very good. I recommend that for dungeons that have a lot of targets in them. But today we're going to talk about another build that you may not know of or haven't seen that much of. I think it's gaining some popularity, and that is like the pure single target build with Cleave. And going over the talents, it looks like this. You'll see that we have given up completely on the stealth stuff from the rogue tree, and we have favored all of the single target. So that's forced induction, that's superchargers, and that all gives us hard-hitting envenoms. On the assassination side, since we're not utilizing stealth that much, or we're not benefiting from coming out of stealth that much, we drop Master Assassin and we take Twist the Knife. Twist the Knife pairs beautifully with Rapid Injection, and Venom's damage is now 20% as long as you've got 2 stacks of Envenom going because of Twist the Knife. So this whole build focuses around the idea of slamming hard-hitting Envenoms. Being smart with your supercharger, utilizing at least one of the charges correctly for Darkest Night, and lining up your cooldowns correctly, and you will have some crazy hitting numbers. And we'll go over some examples after I'm done talking, and we go through some of the rotations, and we talk a little bit more about some of these talents here. For new rogues or rogues returning, there's a couple talents that aren't understood as well as others, and I would say that probably one of the most important is Scent of Blood. Scent of Blood increases your agility based on the amount of ruptures you have out, up to 5 ruptures. So if you have Weak Aura installed, I highly recommend that you track how many ruptures you have. If you watch my videos, there'll be a number above my rupture bar showing me how many ruptures I have. Or you have a tracker that tells you how many stacks of Scent the Blood. However which way you like it, a smaller number better for brain is how I look at it, so I go with 5. 5 rupture, easy. No math involved. 5. The number is 5. We should also talk about, where is it? Indiscriminate Carnage. It's a smart talent, meaning that it knows which targets don't have bleed and which targets do. And so if I come up and I just rupture one target, it applied it to 3. So I've got 3 targets rupturing right now. If I maintain that target and I were to rupture it again, it would apply it to the other 2. And so, if I could get out of stealth, or get out of combat, please game, and demonstrate. So, we rupture again. All 5 targets now have that bleed. This is important to know, because if you are going into a pack that has more than 5 targets, then you should be targeting a new enemy to apply Rupture to during your Indiscriminate Carnage window. Now, during this spec, you only have 6 seconds to do it, so it may not be very easy, but we're also not too focused on crazy amount of bleeds as we would in, say, a hybrid or bleed build. But you still want to make sure that you have 5 ruptures running, for the hardest hitting envenoms that you can get. So as long as you've got 5 targets in a pack, you can still rupture that one target twice and you'll get all 5 enemies. Same thing goes for Garrote. So your builder, your opener that you read on Wowhead or Icy Veins, and why it seems so complicated is because of Bone Spike making it easier on you, which is why I recommend you always grab this thing. That way you get instant ruptures out, as you just saw. So, going through everything there, we will now do the opener up to the point of our first Darkest Night. So that's 2 Ruptures and a Crimson Tempest. And I've got my ability tracker that'll pop up down here so that you can see it. And you can take notes, or you can pause the video or come back on it. And so the opener, it happens pretty quick. It's pretty good with Bone Spike. That's why I recommend that you always have Bone Spike. But it looks something like this. So we're just ambushing. We Garrote, first finisher, second finisher, second Garrote, Fan of Knives, Crimson Tempest. There's all 3 finishers. Darkest Night is ready. And we can now begin our DPS window with our cooldowns. One thing that you want to pay attention to with this build is Supercharger. We want to try to use our 1 Shiv when we have cooldowns up, but also when we are down to our last Darkest Night mark. That way, one of those charges will get used on whatever finisher. Ideally, you want it to be in Venom. If you use a supercharged finisher with Rupture or Crimson Tempest, all it does is increase the timer, which doesn't really help you that much. It doesn't do more damage. It just makes the Rupture dot or the Crimson Tempest dot last longer. Now, sometimes in a dungeon, that's going to just happen naturally because you're in a hurry or you're focused elsewhere. But once you hit that Shiv, you want those supercharged finishers to be in Venoms. And you also want one of those 2 supercharged finishers to be a Darkest Night in Venom. And so you want to at least throw Shiv during the back half of Kingsbane as close as you can. And also while you have that last mark up of Deathstalker's Mark. And so we'll do it slowly here, and then I'll let everything reset, and I'll just shut up and pump the dummies so that you can see it all, and then we'll talk about maintenance after that damage cooldown window. So ambush into the Garrote, rupture into the second Garrote, Crimson Tempest, Caustic Spatter. We're going to go ahead and consume this Darkest Night, and we're going to start our cooldowns. There's Kingsbane. We're going to go to the last one there. We're going to wait. Shiv's activated. Caustic Spatter. There's our Darkest Night with a supercharger. That's how you play it. That is your opener. One quick thing I'll show you before the target dummies run out of health. My plater, I have a mod running that'll change the health green when Caustic Spatter is going. It helps me find my cleave target. I also have my Deathstalker's Mark pop off to the side just to help me find it in a sea of health bars. Like if there was 10 of these here, it's easier to try to find the one that you have your mark on. Especially in this spec, because it's you only really get to apply your mark to one target. And then you just kind of stuck there until that target dies or until you get your Darkest Night back up to reapply it. But I strongly recommend the health bar change color whenever you've got Caustic Spatter up, because that'll just be another thing to tell you when you're good to slam in Venoms. You don't want to slam in Venoms without Caustic Spatter going. You'll miss out on a lot of damage. So we've got 30 seconds left before cooldowns come back. We can talk real quick about Crimson Tempest, because it also does extra damage with the more targets that you hit. So the number there is also 5. 20% increased damage per target up to 100%. So 20 times 5, hundo. 5, good number. 5, best number. Okay, so cooldowns are coming back. I'm going to actually be quiet here and try to focus on the rotation correctly, and then we can look at some of the numbers that went out. So here's where it all looks put together. Alright, so that was pretty much everything. We used Vanish right there at the end to reset our bleeds, and we are now in what would be called like the maintenance window. So we are just watching our bleeds as best as possible, and we are applying Rupture, Caustic Spatter, and Garrote as they fall off. So I've still got another 10 seconds on most of these Ruptures. Like Garrote's starting to fall off. We're going to start looking for the ones that are highlighted so I can try to hit them during their pandemics. There we go. The one that my main target's about to fall off. So there's my Kingsbane back. We're going to try to save Kingsbane for, or the Shiv for the Kingsbane here. Right there. And so that is essentially the single target spec. And you saw, I think, some pretty good DPS going out. I think we were up into the 8s, which isn't bad for 5 targets. Looking over... Done telling me what everything did. There's Caustic Spatter. Just resetting now. Caustic Spatter will be your biggest damage dealer, so you want to make sure that that thing is up when you start your rotation of Fan of Knives and Envenoms. So you just gotta throw a Mutilate every 10 seconds. But that is pretty much the spec. It's very fun. It's a little risky if you're not careful. So be patient in this spec. That's the best advice I can give you. Wait for the tank to get a group gathered before you come around a corner. Because if you get knocked out of stealth, you lose out on a lot of DPS. You don't get to use your Vanish to reset your bleeds if the packs are chunky. So you can either do it that way, or you can just shadow step in and get your mark on something before you get knocked out of stealth and manually apply bleeds as you saw me doing towards the maintenance end of that DPS. So I hope this helps. Let's take a look at some examples of when this spec really shines real quick and get you guys into running some keys. Let's go look at those right now. Alright, this is a 12 Floodgate, trying out that single target build. I think this is like pull 2 or 3. But wanted to showcase just how powerful this is with just Kingsbane up. Being smart with Shiv, using it during Kingsbane window, ideally the back half, but watch how quick that caster is just disappearing right now from that focus damage. Maintain your 5 ruptures. You can see my marker there. It has the magic number of 5. Just drop down to 4, down to 2. But since the pack is already almost dying, it's not worth it with the global cooldowns to try to reapply. And as we move into this boss, same thing here with how you deal with Mama. You kill the ads first, save everything for that damage amp window. as these ads are starting to die, make sure that you are ready to go. Ideally, you want to be able to put Darkest Night on the last ad, and then as it dies, you have it ready to go for this phase. But we're close enough. As you see everything going out, I even take a tempered potion here, and Shiv is now going out. Watch this Envenom. 33.5 million. Pretty impressive. From there, it's just rinsing and repeating. Manually apply bleeds. And focus down one target at a time. Here is the second round of the damage amp. And I didn't have cooldowns back in time to really utilize it, but the next phase, everything will be back. So that means that at least your DPS is pumping. Just fight this one. So you can see that I am trying to work in more ruptures, trying to get max stacks up to try to kill these ads quickly. This is pretty much the basis for this spec. I hope you learned something. I hope I helped you learn something. Give me feedback in the comments below as we start to get prepared for that last damage phase. We are going into the last damage phase here. Make sure you've got everything lined up, ready to go. There's a 30 million Envenom. So I hope you liked the video. Stop in anytime in the mornings and catch the streams. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.